It's great to see. So welcome everyone to our meeting. It's great to see so many of you here. What we're going to do is take you through what to expect on the day of the event and how to get the most out of it. So I know many of you have been to Dragon Speed Dating before. We've got some very experienced salespeople in the industry among the publishers attending, but also we've got many others for whom this is a brand new experience and their first foray into the industry. So you're all welcome. This event is for everybody. It's the key opportunity at Dragon Speed Dating, above all else, is to network and meet people and make connections, be that with other publishers or indeed, of course, retailers. So look to learn from your peers as well as the retailers, and just do ask lots of questions. There's lots of opportunity at the end of today's meeting, but also on the day of our panel and the retailers that you're meeting. So just ask questions. Hopefully it'll lead on to business relationships and indeed orders. That's obviously the hope. So in a minute, I'm going to hand over to Adriana, who's going to talk in more detail about the setup and how the event works and help you prepare. And then I'm going to hand over to Sarah, who's one of our dragons on the 2nd of March, who's going to talk about what buyers are looking for. And then I'll briefly talk about the panel discussion and how to get the most out of that. Sadly, Carolyn from Caroline Gardner can't be with us today. Unfortunately, something cropped up for her this morning, but between us, we'll be able to answer all your questions and cover the areas that she was going to. So let me start by introducing Sarah Laker from award-winning retailer Stationery Supply. And also, Sarah, can I just congratulate you on just being appointed lead for National Stationery Week? That's great news. Many congratulations. And let me hand over now to Adriana, who, as well as working with me at the GCA, is also a small business owner herself.
Thank you, Amanda. Okay, hi everyone. Yes, my name's Adriana, and I'm going to tell you about what to expect and also give you a few tips and advice for how to prepare. So I actually did the Dragon Speed Dating event. I think I did the first one, and I thought it was brilliant. It was brilliant for my business and a real eye opener. So I'm sure you'll all benefit the same way I did. So okay, so here we go. Right. So how will it work? So on the day, I'll be at the reception desk to hand you all your name badges. So you'll come in, you'll get your name badges, and then it's tea and coffee. So it's a great opportunity to network with people, not the other publishers. It's the industry is so friendly, and that's one of the things I love about the industry. It's so welcoming, and there's so many great people in it. So it's a great time to meet other publishers, exchange stories. Just relax and get ready before the event begins. So there's a total of 72 publishers who will be attending the event. You'll be divided into 2 groups. So on your name badges, you'll have either a blue or a red color mark on your name badge to determine which group you'll go in. So one group, the first group of 36, will be doing the speed dating, meeting the dragons, and then the second group will be taking part in the panel discussions, and then after that there'll be another coffee break, more again chance for more networking, talking to other publishers, talking to the retailers, and then we'll switch over and then so the people doing the Dragon Speed Datings will now do the panel, and the panel will do the will now then be doing the Dragon Speed Dating. So what to bring. So my advice is that you bring business cards. The business cards will be given not only to the retailers, but also to the other publishers, if obviously good chance to network. So you'll be using those during your coffee breaks as well as during the speed dating. A pen and notepad, which you can be used obviously in the panel discussions to make notes, because there's some really useful information given during that session, and also to make notes on some feedback you get from the dragons. bring a selection of greeting cards. So these greeting cards will be used to obviously show the dragons during your sessions, but also how the dragons select which publisher they will be having a meeting with is you'll be asked to hold 2 or 3 examples of your cards. You may choose to have the same set of cards for all the rounds, but I would say, the option obviously to change it, depending on, if you feel like one's designed stronger, or depending which dragons are coming out to do the selecting. Also bring a catalogue for the dragons meeting, which is also useful to have that to hand. And also what you need to bring is 18 goodie bags. There's 18 dragons, 18 retailers taking part. So you've been asked to bring a selection of 3 cards, which we place in the goodie bags for each dragon. Limit it to 3 cards per pack for each dragon. I would also say don't include a catalogue, because they have to be able to carry these packs home, and so catalogues can get quite heavy. So think about which cards you're going to select. You'll be sent the names of the dragons who will be the 18 dragons that will be taking part in the dragons event. So I would say research the dragons, know who the retailers are, know where they're located, know what they sell. I think that's really important part of your prep work, is to understand who you're coming to meet. And so when you're making these packs, personalize them, put some personality in them, make them stand out, make them a bit different. That's what I would say to you as well. So because they get lots and lots of samples all the time, so make yours stand out, and make sure your samples, the samples that you take into meetings, the samples that you put into the goodie bags, are how they would be if they were like store ready. If you were to send them to be, sold in the shops, how they were presented, the envelopes, if they have clasps, just the finished product, because they want to see what they would look like if they were to receive them, if someone was to buy them off the shelves. So that's really important. So no samples, just make sure they're the proper finished product. Yes. So another useful tip is, I would say, is to know your brand. What is your USP? What makes you different from every other publisher out there? Sort of have that clear in your mind. So when you're going to speaking to the dragons, make sure that comes across to them, because I think that's important, because what you want to say, pick me because I'm this. So that's important, is to know who you are, and be clear on that. Also, know your wholesale price, know your pricing, know what so your wholesale price is what you would sell to the retailer at, not what your recommended retail price is, not what they will sell in the shops, but what you will sell to the retailer at. So the rule is, into working out your wholesale price, is you take what your recommended retail price, the price you think it would sell for, and divide that by 2.5. That is a general rule of finding the wholesale price. Because I think there's been a lot of times when publishers haven't really understood that, and it's really important to know what your pricing is. And also that cards are sold in 6s. So when you're selling a card, they're sold in packs of 6, multiples of 6. So you either sell 6, 12, 18. You don't sell 5, 4s. Cards are always sold in 6s, but your obviously your wholesale price is the units, the cost per card. Yeah, so I'm just checking anything else in my notes. So like I said, this is a great opportunity for networking. For me, like I said, I did it 7 years ago, and it's not, you may come away having sold to a retailer, or you may come away of actually introducing yourself. I remember there was one retailer in particular who I met at the speaking event. They gave me some great advice. I remembered them. I saw them a couple of trade shows later. But then a year and a half later, I was in their shop, and I'm still in their shop today. So it sort of starts, not only does it starts building relationships for the future, and not only with retailers, but with other publishers. So I think it's really important that, come positive, come happy, come willing to, really sell yourselves and your product. Okay, so I'm now going to pass on to Sarah Laker from Station Supplies, who's going to give you some insights into what she's looking for. So, Sarah.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Sarah, and I own 2 stationery shops in Cheshire. I've been in retail, well, it's going to be my 18th year this year. We're going to have an 18th party later in the year. So yeah, I've been doing this quite a while, and I surprised myself when I started writing the notes about what I actually did look for when I was choosing a card. I think subconsciously there's a massive big tick list for me, and I'm going to run through that with you today. I've made 3 sides of notes, so I hope I don't waffle on too long, and I hope I'm not too repetitive, but forgive me for glancing at my notes and keeping on track. So I sell about 15,000 cards a year, and I'm not a specialist retailer of cards. So if you scale that up to a card shop, the possibilities out there for you all are endless if you get this right. So what do I look for? The most important thing, and the first thing that will catch my eye, will be the design of your cards. That design needs to be unique. It needs to fill a gap in my shop. It needs to follow a trend or be the first of its kind. But what you need to remember is that for me to take on your designs, I need to take somebody else's cards out of my shop. I only have a finite amount of room in my shop, and that means that you're fighting for space within the other hundreds of publishers that are out there. So as Adriana touched on earlier, you need a USP, and that needs to be your brand. It also needs to look good on the shelf or the spinner, and you need to use all of your card. If you imagine a card racking, and if you don't know what card rackings are, if you're that new, then you need to visit some card shops. If your designs or words are all at the bottom of your card, you cannot see it on a rack, and it won't sell. The other thing I don't want is I don't want awkward sizes, and I don't want cards that need explaining to the customer or that are difficult to display, unless you're going to offer me a display option. If you're offering me a display option, then that's fantastic. So it needs to be sellable. So when you're looking at a card, the front's perfect. Nearly every customer will then turn the card over and look at the back of the card. And on the back of the card, you've got to sell your card. So don't waste that space. You need your backstory. Literally, you need a backstory. You need to say who you are, where you're based, where you're made, why you do what you do. Are you an artist? Are you a specialist in some kind of special printing? Where have you come from? What are you doing? What is the card made out of? Is it FSC? Is it recyclable? You know, what is the packaging? What does it say in the card? Use that space to sell your card. And please, 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 please use order codes. Don't just call it a happy birthday card or a get well card. You need order codes for us to be able to order from you. It makes invoicing easier if you use them on your invoices. It makes tracking easier if there's missed or damaged products in deliveries, and it makes reordering easy too. And also think about barcodes. Some stockists won't stock cards without barcodes. I was recently at Top Drawer, and there was a card supplier there who wrote a big order for a new customer, and then at the very last minute lost that order because they didn't have barcodes on their cards, and they were absolutely gutted. Look at your envelopes. Don't let your envelopes let you down. The envelope is the first thing the person that getting that card sees. If you've got a crap envelope, you're not going to sell that card. Look at publishers out there, look at the cards that they use. And also on the back, sorry, I didn't mention, if you're UK designed and printed, which I think you're all going to be, put that on your card. People want to see cards that are made in the UK. So to sell that product to me, I want to know that you are a viable business. I want to know that you know what you're doing. I want to be able to trust you, and I want to be able to have a relationship with you. So for me to do that business with you, I'd like to know that you know your product. I'd like to know that you know where it sits in the marketplace, who your competition is, what your price points are, where you sit. Are you traditional? Are you sentiment? Are you contemporary? Have you got a branding? So for example, children's cards. There's an awful lot of children's cards that's sold each year, children's parties. And you know, those of you who've got children, you know there's 30 kids in that class, and you might be invited to 30 parties, and you need to buy 30 birthday cards a year. The price point is really important in a children's birthday card. So you need to think about where your cards are lying, where your price points are. Think about your target customers. You won't be for everyone, and everyone won't be for you. So don't take it personally if you come to me and you try and sell me your card and I say, that doesn't sit in my brand, that doesn't sit with my other ranges. You know, it might be a beautiful card, it might be unique, it might have, you know, something that nobody else has got, but it might not be for my customers. And please don't take that personally. There's somebody out there for you. You think there's 65 million people in the UK, they all buy cards. There's somebody there for you. So you, your future, I'm interested in your future. I'm not just interested in the cards that I'm buying now. I want to buy from you and I want to keep buying from you. So I want to know that the range that you're selling me will stay relevant, or that you can adapt it or change it or diversify. Has it got longevity? Have you got future ranges planned? Where are you going with your company? How big can you go? Can you meet demand? Can you afford the print runs and the finance? And watch your competitions out there. You know, you need to look at who you're selling to. You need to look at shops. You need to go to trade fairs. You need to know what's out there. I recently went to a trade fair and met a very, very new, it was a stationery, it wasn't Queetons Cards, a new supplier. They'd never been to a trade fair before. They didn't know what to expect. They didn't have business cards with them. They didn't have a notebook with them. They didn't know how to take orders. They hadn't thought about their minimum orders. There's so much out there that's really, really relevant for you, and it's easy to find out. And I know that GCA gives a lot of guidance on that. I'm also interested in your trading strategy. As Adriana said, what's your minimum order carriage paid? Is it achievable? No one's going to buy your whole range. That they're really not. Even if all your cards are beautiful, they will cherry pick the ones that they want. And if you've got 30 cards in your range and your minimum order is 30 cards, you're setting yourself up for a failure already. Is your first order pro forma? I'm interested in that. Are you making me pay up front for those cards? Have you got clear invoicing? Do you list your cards? Do you use codes? How are you going to chase late payers? Some people will see you coming as a newbie, and they really will, and that's a sad thing to say, but pro forma I think is quite important for first orders. Exclusivity, that's another thing that's really important for indies. I want to build up a relationship with you. I want to sell your cards, but I want to be the only person within my area. There's a bit of feedback going on within the area that is selling those cards. So if I've built a relationship with you and I'm doing really, really well with your cards and we're getting going, I don't want you to go in the shop down the road and start selling to them. So that's something to think about. Also, how do you deal with damaged cards from deliveries and shortages? How do other people deal with them? Find out how people deal with them and be ready for that to happen. Think through your delivery costs, think through your minimum orders, think through your terms and conditions. All that is important to me as a buyer, and I look at the whole thing when I'm buying. And also really make sure that you understand VAT and margins. As Adriana said, do your sums, work it out, know your price points. If there's not enough profit in it for me, if you're not using the 2.5 system, I won't be looking at you. Please don't wing it. Please have a business head and think about your business as a business. Think about your wrapping. There's a big controversy at the moment, I think, over going naked, over staying wrapped, and it's very important. So you do need a clear policy on that and be ready for people to talk to you about it. So hurrah, I've ordered from you. You've ticked all my boxes, and I know there's hundreds of boxes there for you to tick and think about. I've probably blown your minds. So I've ordered from you. That's brilliant. You've sent me an order. Think about how you're going to pack that order when you send it to me. Remember that a box has 6 sides, and think that that courier might use your box as a football. Believe me, they do. And believe me, your cards will get damaged. Please, 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 and I can't stress this enough, pack your cards carefully. Don't just shove them in a box with a little bit of wrapping on the top. That ain't going to cut the mustard. It's got to be protected. It's going to save you in damages and shortages. It's going to save me being cross, and it's going to sort of cement that relationship. And also have a little think about it, and think about that personal touch. As Adriana touched on, the when you're selling to the buyers at the event, think about the personal touch in your box. Think about a little thank you. Think about a Kit Kat, a 2-finger Kit Kat. Think about a tea bag. Think outside the box and put something in that box that's going to make me think, oh, that's really nice. I want to deal with these people. They're looking after their customers. So we've done that. The cards are on the shelf. The cards are selling away. Lovely. I'm really happy with what I'm doing. Please stay in touch with me. I don't want to hear from you every day, nor even every week, but I do want to hear from you. I want you to keep in touch with me. I can't sell your new cards if you've not told me that you've got new cards. And that sounds really simple, but so many publishers forget to tell us when they've got something new going on or they've got an offer on. They forget to keep in touch with us. I'm busy. I deal with over 70 suppliers over my 2 shops. I can't remember everybody all the time. Give me a reason to remember you. Give me a reason to connect with you, to buy with you, to stay in touch with you. If I'm posting about your cards on social media and I tag you in a post, don't ghost me. Don't ignore it. Put it on your stories, share it, comment. Connect with me, and together we will build your brand. None of us can do it on our own. None of us are islands. We all need each other. We need the GCA, we need the retailers, we need our customers, we need the brands. So let's connect and let's sell cards. And finally, my final point is, don't, and this is probably a bad one to end on actually, I maybe should have ended on the high that I just did, but I have something what I call the faff factor. And if you make me faff, if I have to contact you, if it doesn't go straight forward, if I don't know what I'm doing, if it isn't clear, if you don't stay in touch with me, I will walk away from you. And that sounds a bit harsh, and possibly it is, but we're all really busy people. And if you cause me a faff factor, then I walk away from faffing. So let's go back to a high and let's say cards are brilliant. Send a card, deliver a smile. I love cards. I'm a real cardie. Jackie's smiling away there. I can see her because she knows that I love cards. And I really hope that you learn from this. I really hope you have a great experience on the day. And feel free to contact me. Feel free to speak to me on the day if I'm not clear about anything. If you want a copy of my notes, I know I've waffled on and I know I've been sort of gambling through it. I'm happy to do that. And when we come to any questions in a bit, I'm really happy to take your questions. Thank you.
Sarah, thank you. That was brilliant. Sarah's kindly said we could share her notes on the recording with the recording of this, so it will be in the members library. That was, excuse me, really useful. I mean, just to pick up on a couple of points there. Back of the card, yeah, that's such good advice, Sarah, and so important. Barcodes, there's a blog in the members library about barcodes and where to get them from and how to do them. Don't start dealing with an intermediary, do go straight to GS1, but it's all on in the members website. The other thing I thought was really valuable advice is pro forma for first customers. It's just so important that you get all the information you need from anyone you start dealing with for the first time and get them to pay up front and demonstrate their commitment. And I love the idea of the tea bag. I've been in this industry over 30 years, and every time I do one of these events, I learn something. That's such a good idea, Sarah, and I'm just cross I never thought of it. Anyway, so I'm just going to talk briefly about the panel. Actually, one last thing to say is Sarah mentioned and Adriana mentioned about research and how important it is to do your research, but also remember the buyers will be doing their research. We'll be sending them a list of all the publishers who are participating, and they will be going to our members directory to decide who they want to see. So if you haven't completed your members profile, or indeed it needs updating, please do it before the 2nd of March, because that is where the buyers will be going to research who they may well want to meet on the day. So let me just talk briefly about the panel. This is another good opportunity to ask questions. As Adriana and Sarah said, there'll be lots of us there on the day. And Jackie, I should have welcomed you earlier. You weren't on my screen, Jackie, from Progressive Greetings. We tag on to a PG Live event for Dragon Speed Dating. So Jackie and her team will be there in the morning, and I know some of you will be attending that event too. So that there will be lots of us there to answer your questions. I'll just talk briefly about the panel. Sorry, Adriana, I'm going off script here. So our panel on the 2nd of March will be Sarah Jackson, who is owner of Stormy Night, and she's going to share an insight into her business and talking about her strategy and how she decided what direction to take her business in and the importance of setting goals. These will be very short 5-minute presentations from our panel. Brett Smith is MD at Emotional Rescue, but in a previous life was director of buying at Clinton's. So he'll offer his top tips to add to those you've heard today for your meetings on the day, and indeed following up after the meetings, because some of you will see him, will see our panel before you meet the dragons, and some of you after. We'll also have Georgina Flosy, who's founder and owner of Afro Touch Designs. She's going to talk briefly about her business journey and the importance of building a brand, and having inclusive designs and understanding your USP, particularly when supplying to national accounts. We will also have Will Miles, who is a specialist legal a lawyer who specialises in copyright and licensing, and this is something that comes up a lot among the questions from GCA members. So he's going to share some top tips, but more importantly signpost you to information. A lot of it is in our members library actually, and Briffa work closely with us on providing information on licensing and copyright, and he will also obviously be there to answer questions. We'll also have Rebecca Green, who's founder and owner of Raspberry Blossom, talking about how she founded her business and the importance of awards. And finally, Nick Carey, who's MD at Abacus. And following on from Sarah's points, one of the things he will be talking about is he's going to share his top tips on how to secure retail space and the opportunities to supply display units, what that means, how that could work for you. So I think that hopefully will be a very useful area as well. So that's our panel, but please do send your questions in beforehand. If you just click the contact us email link on the website, or indeed just email Adriana and I direct. What we're doing is collecting the questions, and thank you to those of you who sent them in already, and then we will be handing them out to our panel so that what they talk about is what you want to hear. So please do send in your questions. Adriana, I'm going to hand back to you.
Oh, sorry, I had to mute myself. Okay, thank you. That was brilliant. So first, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. I hope you found the information really useful. I'm now going to stop the recording for Prepare to Slay the Dragons 2023, so we can now take your questions. Please don't be shy. No question is silly. This is your time to take full advantage of this and just ask what you want. So if you give me a second, I'm just going to stop the recording.